Welcome again to the Horace Goes Podcasting for Gamers with Pong Memories podcast. I swear one time I'm going to say Horace Goes Skiing. And who remembers that? It hasn't had a mention yet on any of our episodes, but maybe this time. And what do you think of our new music, listeners? Leave your comments for us and let us know. So on this episode, I've got a very special guest. Some of you may have heard him in the earlier episodes because it's my co-host, John McNamara.
Hello.
And John, hello John. John is an IT professional with many years of distinction, working in a variety of roles. His email signature describes him as a thought leader, distinguished technical specialist, and a master inventor. And he's a professor to boot.
Ooh.
Yeah, you are, yeah. Prof. I first worked with him more than 20 years ago on a technology that is only now becoming onto the radar of regular company IT teams. That's how foresighted we were. And Johnny's wide range of interests and experience communicating ideas and concepts to audiences is why I got him on the show. Plus, he's a funny guy.
Oh, thank you very much.
And you are, yeah. Outside of the 9 to 5, he enjoys travel, 2000 AD, Judge Dredd, and comics in general, and being a dad, and of course, a pint of Guinness. I mean gaming.
Oh, yes.
So we're international again in this episode. Johnny is still away on a business trip to Las Vegas, so bear with us if there are any lags in our chat. So first question, what actually is your name? Is it John without an H, John with an H, Johnny, Jonathan?
I'm only slightly ashamed to mention that I took the easy way, the easy way out of basically changing my name to fit my work circumstances. As way back in the day when I first joined a mutual company who worked at Kieron, we were on NOS, we moved to Teams, and I lost the H in my name. And also a mysterious space appeared in between the MC and the Namara and my surname.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so when I put my hand up to go, could you possibly change it? Being only a few weeks into the role, I was told they'd get around to it. But of course, by the time they get around to it, people then found me on those systems without a H and with the space in between the MC and the Namara. So it was just easier to simply just give in, Kieron, and just change my name, basically, to have no H in it. I'm not proud of it, but there you go. That's the mystery.
There you are. Yep. Okay. I'm glad that's cleared up. And now I know what to call you, John. So you've travelled a lot, and you're travelling right now. And I remember a story you told me once about a business trip to Dublin for 3 days in winter when you landed before sunrise, worked every day at the customer site until the evening, so you went from there to the hotel in the dark, and you were going back to the customer site in the morning before it was light. And on the last day, you even left there while it was still dark to go to the airport. So you saw absolutely nothing at all of Dublin. And that's the realities of business travel, folks. So have you had better visits to Dublin than that?
Oh, yeah, loads. So I've not gone too often with business, to be honest, but I've been to Dublin quite a few times on holiday. So I originate from the West Coast, as it's not too far away. And for a very long time, before children, me and my wife would hop over to Dublin, and then, as you could do before kids, go toss a coin. I'm going to go south or north. And then you kind of like just find your own way because you didn't care where you were staying or to find beds or that kind of stuff.
Didn't need the plans.
Didn't need a plan. It was all fine. Yeah, spent a lot of time. And yeah, it's just Stephen's Green. The hotel's around there. There's a lovely cafe just beside the, I can't remember the name of the hotel on Stephen's Green. It's a very famous one. But they do, an awesome brekkie. So yes, Dublin's a favourite spot of mine for sure. I've had better, much happier times than just going there with dark mornings and evenings.
And Venice or Vegas, which wins?
Oh, well, yeah. So of course, Venice has the Rialto Bridge with the Travelator on it, which is of course is a massive win. But I've got to say, in reality, you can't really beat Venice, can you? We go there fairly often, it turns out, and fairly often, once or a couple of years, it's quite stress-free because there's no driving. You can't drive anywhere. So you end up just walking everywhere. It looks really pretty. And there's loads of places to eat, which, that's great because I like doing that sort of thing. Wandering around eating things that are tasty is probably my ideal holiday. So, yeah, Venice, really.
Nice pizza.
Mm.
Is the coffee cheaper in Venice or Vegas?
Oh, my gosh. I think I got charged. I was presented with the price of, I think it was €18 for a cappuccino.
Gosh.
In Venice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it really, really good cappuccino?
No.
Did it have anything extra in it?
I wish it did. I needed it when I saw it. But it was on, it's at Mark Square. So I think it was more the location than anywhere else. So we probably said to the waiter, look over there. And then we left.
So once you sent a Raspberry Pi into space. And why did you do that? And can you explain for our listeners what a Raspberry Pi is?
I can. To start at the end, a Raspberry Pi is like a little mini computer the size of basically a moderately sized smartphone. So they're very small, can be used for all sorts of wonderful projects. They're pretty cheap as well, so they're fairly common. And at the time, we were looking to demonstrate the wonderful world of messaging and how exciting messaging was and how everyone could use message to do wonderful things. And so one of the things we tried to do was we built our own space program for the princely sum $500. Which doesn't get you very far into space. It kind of gets you about 25 miles up, which is near space, but not actually in it. But still, it did okay. And then what we would do is we would take pictures of the Earth, and we'd control the descent, sort of, and we'd let people as well tweet messages up there. And what it would do is it would take a picture of their tweet on the little screen we had with the curvature of the Earth in the background, send it back down to them. And that's kind of the more interesting things that we did with it to get people engaged in messaging. And so that was really good. Didn't end. It ended, I suppose, a bit of a bumpy road, really. I won't go into the full horror of what happened on the landing, but suffice to say that I was asked to take it incredibly to Vegas about 15 years ago now. Yeah, back in the day. The problem with it was is it looked incredibly suspicious. And in fact, at Gatwick Airport, when I presented this to them, they said, and I quote, "You couldn't have made this look more like a bomb if you'd written bomb on the side of it."
Which hopefully you didn't do.
No, in big crayon. But effectively, it was a big square box with a screen that looked suspicious like a timer, and lots of wires coming out of it, and then a series of aerials. And so if you try and smoke that one past the airport at JFK, they have all sorts of things they want to talk to you about.
Computer says no.
Yeah, and a lot of other things as well, but no is definitely in there. I guess the low point for me came when, after my second hour of interrogation at JFK, is when they said, well, can you explain exactly what this does? And I said, well, you can send a tweet to it, and it takes a picture of your tweet and get the curvature of the Earth behind it. It sends you back the picture of the curvature of the Earth in your tweet, and you can see it on your phone. And they went, right, okay, so if I see the picture now, I'm going to tweet from space. And I went,
what's going to happen?
Yeah, and as he had a gun on him, and he wasn't shy about showing me it, I decided to play that one completely straight, which was, no, you won't get a tweet from space because it's over there on the table. So anyway, after they had a look inside it and took it apart, we took the bits back from Vegas. But it now sits in the museum, which is really nice. So it survived. It survived space and it survived JFK.
In past episodes, we've covered a lot of your gaming highlights. We're going to dig in a bit more about your journey in gaming. So where did it all initially start out?
I think a lot of things happened at the same time. So around the kind of the late 70s, early 80s, you had this wonderful influx of science fiction films like Star Trek, Star Wars. I think Battlestar Galactica was on TV, and then you had all these space games suddenly appearing in the arcades as well, Space Invaders, Galaxians, Gorf, if you remember Gorf, with the
Nope,
first.
I don't.
Oh, okay. Gorf was famous for being the very first arcade game that spoke to you.
Oh,
And you'd all gather around and listen to it, and it would kind of go, and that would be it. which has been kind of
sounds
ideal.
more like Scooby Doo.
Yeah, pretty much. You could make up whatever you wanted to say to you. Well, I was kind of, I suppose, encouraged to play computer games from the culture things I was interested in. And I think it was really Asteroids that did it for me. Space Invaders, Galaxians were a little bit like, your little spaceship went from left to right. Was Asteroids, you could move around and shoot things around you, and it was all more dynamic. So I enjoyed that more. And I think that was where it all started. And then, yeah, I think to progress on from that, when I was a little bit older, on the way from school, there was a Tandies. If you remember those mighty, the mighty Tandies. I had a Dragon 32, and every day for a week I'd nip in there in between the school the bus from school to town, and then from town to home. I nip into Tandies and code up a bit of this Asteroid game. And they were very kind. Left
on their shop computer.
In the shop computer, and they're very kind. Left it on there, didn't turn it off or anything, which would be very mean, but funny, looking back at it now. And at the end of it, it actually, incredibly, despite my coding prowess, actually worked, which I was amazed about. And I think then I encourage you to proceed onto the Spectrum, because all my friends had them.
I could claim that I nearly won a dragon,
Ooh.
but I filled out the form in the back of a cereal box and entered a competition. But I do remember entering it thinking, this doesn't have very many games for it compared to the spec we already had. Yeah. But the lure of winning possibly, maybe winning a shiny new computer was too great. Anyway, didn't win.
Oh, never mind. It could have been one of those antique pieces now, and like go back and they're worth a fortune.
Yeah, probably would be.
Yeah.
We've talked about, you and I, offline or not on the podcast, about the idea of a golden age or golden era. So for you, what's your golden era?
Golden era, I think it's similar to comics. I think, oh gosh, I can't remember who said it, but I think for comics, a golden era is when you're from the age of 7 to 12. And I think it's probably fairly similar for gaming as well. Maybe a bit later than that, because gaming happened a little bit later on for me than that. But I would say definitely maybe 10 to 15, because that's when it was all new and exciting. And so I think that's when it all kind of, that was a golden era, maybe a bit longer than that. I think the Spectrum came out just before then, the Commodore 64. And all my friends would, it was a great, you go around to a friend's house, play some games, you go back and play some others. And it was a great way of keeping with your friends, doing something interesting. And also, it will kind of stretch your muscles if you want to try and code something as well. Should you attempt it ever?
And what were you playing? What were you playing in that golden era that sticks in your mind and makes it golden in the rearview mirror?
Well, I think one thing amazes me about the games I was playing was how little memory that they used back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So
Tiny.
Yeah, 48K for Paradroid, for example, and that was my go-to game. Absolutely amazing. Loved that game. There was also one called, oh my gosh, Iridium, an Andrew Braybrook game. So parallax right. Effects of you were kind of skimming like some kind of Star Destroyer, had sort of holes and you could see it was going underneath and things moved at different speeds, all for 48K. So I think those two games were my staple. Loved The Hobbit. I loved The Hobbit, the adventure game. I still remember...
Text-based. Was it text-based or did it have some graphics?
It had graphics, but I think that was kind of like there's graphics on this one. You'd say a static page or something. But I still remember being in was it the Thorin's Hall, trying to get into a wine barrel and throw myself into a river. And I think I must have wasted years of my life trying to just get the right words before I was discovered.
What are the memorable moments from then, or games in the more modern era?
I think I mentioned it in the previous podcast, was the end of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, because I was kind of like a new dad, and there's a lovely ending to that. I thought it was just amazing. That was definitely memorable. Oh, Alien Isolation. Have you ever played that? That's good Lord. Um, so Alien Isolation had come at a time when there'd been a raft of games with aliens in them from the series, from the genre, and of course I guess the route to more and more raising the stakes was more and more aliens that you have to kill. Or Alien Isolation, there was just one alien, but you had effectively a matchstick, a herring, and a bit of chewing gum with which to defend yourself with this alien.
Something like the A-Team.
Exactly right. So you basically would have to try and find a way off this derelict space station that had been abandoned while being hunted down by this one alien. You were in the game for a while before you saw it. You kind of you explore the space station, and then you heard this clattering. Yeah, this thing just dropped down from the ceiling and crawled around, and it was like, ugh. And also the reason that's really, I really remember that is I guess the intentional, very frustrating save mechanism, where the alien genre, the films are this kind of retro futuristic looking technology.
Yeah.
The save, you couldn't just save the game. You had to get to a particular save module on a wall, and on there it was a 10-second process of put the lever down, get your cartridge, put it in, push the lever up, and then spin it, all while the alien is like creeping up on you. You go, oh, come on. So I guess that's very memorable for sure.
How has your gaming, or the games you play, changed through life?
An interesting question, Kieron. So I first started off on the glorious ZX Spectrum way back, and it would have been with games like Hungry Horace. Yeah,
Horace Goes Skiing.
Horace Goes Skiing, The Hobbit, Lords of Midnight. Remember that? Lords of Midnight?
Yes.
Great game. I didn't go down the ZX81 route, because that just seemed like too much hard work needed to be done. I can go straight to gaming on the Spectrum. Then kind of progressed onto the Commodore 64. One of my favourite games on there was a game called Laser Squad, which was the precursor to UFO Enemy Unknown. Yeah, and that's just a brilliant game. Then I took a bit of a break because I went off to university, and I didn't have any money for anything, anything at all. So not least games, but I did bring my Commodore 64 with me though. So I didn't play much there, and then I came back and started working. I progressed to the glorious PC Master Race, and started getting games. Oh my word. The games such as Doom, I guess, was an absolute classic. Loved that. Quake, another great game. And then progressed on to things like Civilization, which you could do on a PC. And then I suppose really, after a spate of single-player first-person shooters and edging into multiplayer first-person shooters, I then started looking at the proper multiplayer games, and my first dipping the toe in the water would have been like Counter-Strike. And there was a big difference there for me, because my gaming method was to just run around and just press a button and kill everything I saw.
Hope that you hit something.
Exactly, spray and pray, and you can't do that on Counter-Strike, as I discovered.
No.
And then most recently...
That is my tactic in beat-em-ups and fighting games, is just mash all the buttons and hope that you make contact.
It is. I'll tell you what's worrying them. My daughters have seemed to have these combinations off where they can just sort of like double X, double Y, back, double Y, X, 0Y, and then like go back in time and kill me or something.
Playing Super Smash Bros with my daughter is hiding to nothing for me.
It's not fair. It's not fair.
It's not fair.
But then, so Halo, of course, as a biggie, and I started playing online, but also as well, I had my own gaming room for a while.
Oh, nice.
I know, back of the house, North End room with a stack of like TVs, second-hand TVs, all stacked up, an array of Xboxes, and all come around and play. Great fun. And then, of course, as I travel with work, I started playing online more. And now, I guess, most recently into Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2. And, of course, now a bit of Starfield now, which I enjoy as well. Yeah, and still exploring that. So that's kind of the trajectory, really, of where
I think in the first episode you said you were playing Starfield and that it was a bit samey on each planet. Has it improved? Have they dropped some...
Yeah, I stepped away from it because I was getting a bit samey. And I'll tell you what annoyed me massively was the fact that you land on a planet on a spaceship, you had no capability of driving anyway, to walk all the way over the planet very slowly, and you think, well, that's not right. So I came back to it and gave you like a dune buggy to go and explore.
That's a bit nicer.
That's better. Yeah. So I thought I'd give it a go. And there are mods that you can add in now, so you can transform the game into effectively a Star Wars clone.
Definitely something that's changed over our time is mods.
Yeah.
Certainly in the days of the Specky, it wasn't like anybody could ship anyway to change a game, but these days, yes, the amount that games can grow and continue and change after release with the community adding mods is huge.
Yeah, it's a lot easier now. There's a number of games that you'd be able to mod that have breathed new life. It's Skyrim. Skyrim, for example. That's a game I still dig out now. It's a fantastic game.
So what have you learned from games in your life?
That's a super question.
Or
Kieron.
from gaming.
Or from gaming. There's a quote, and I can't remember who said it, but...
They're the best quotes.
The inattributable quotes, which is, as life, as in gaming, if you're finding it hard and you're making lots of enemies, you're going the right way. I guess that comes from all the adventure games that you kind of play where you go the wrong way and nothing actually happens. Yeah. It's only when you go down the correct path that you're guided down, you meet loads of people that you have to actually battle and struggle against, which I think is probably pretty fair, I think. But I guess on a less philosophical note, I think there's quite a few games out there, and maybe most recently, that have started to explore, I want to say, historical tourism. So you'll go into, I guess Assassin's Creed is a good example of that, I think. So you get to explore Florence, and you get to explore Venice as the Rialto Bridge is being built, and you get to meet historical characters, and you kind of live, I suppose, a pastiche of their kind of achievements in life. So you're not going to be an expert to be able to write a thesis, but you can at least know who those people are.
Gives you flavour, yes.
It does, yeah. It kind of gives you, okay, I've heard this guy before. Now I know who he is. I think they've done that pretty well. I remember most recently I was playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I live in Winchester. I was able to go to Winchester, I think, in the 10th century and explore what the town was like and the historical figures there and the original church that was built there, and you get to a little bit about the history. And I kind of thought, well, that's probably not a bad way of learning about history, is experiencing it as an historical character, potentially a better way than we do now. I think for things like physics, we're creating a game with the university which teaches you physics by being a space trucker. And the idea is that you are on one planet and you've got to navigate your way to planet B. past all of these kind of celestial objects of different gravities and mass. You try and work out the right trajectory, the amount of fuel you need, and how your cargo will sway and move, that kind of stuff. So I think that I think is a super interesting way of learning about physics. So
did you ever play Kerbal Space Simulator?
I did.
And how many Kerbals you killed with exploding rockets?
Many Kerbals died at the making of that game.
Yeah.
Have you played it?
Yes. Tried to.
Did you land anywhere apart from smack bang against the wall?
Yeah. It just blew things up all the time. Yeah.
I didn't have the patience to learn it properly, and I would just construct random spaceships and send them off to die.
But you did have to have some grasp of the physics and thrust and weight, and once you got out there and you had to understand parhelions and whatever, because to do a proper orbit you really needed to understand speed, acceleration and all sorts.
I never got that far. The trajectory of my Kerbal was always kind of either...
I only got there by the tutorial.
Oh, right.
You start in space already and do some space flying.
Oh, thank God. I didn't bother the tutorial.
Oh, well.
No. I immediately just stuffed my Kerbal into one of a spaceman constructed and either
stuck an engine on it.
Yeah, it blew up immediately, or it kind of went on a kind of like trajectory up and down. But I felt sorry for them. Yeah. God bless them. But a great example, though. A great example.
So let's come round to what is the main topic of this podcast series. People's plans, your plans for gaming when you retire. You're a very young man.
Oh.
So I imagine it's still a long way off for you. So a great deal could have changed by then. But at the moment, what role do you imagine that gaming will take in your retirement years?
Well, I came across a story not long ago about a young lad who lost his dad. And one of the things that they played was, I can't remember the name of the game, but it's one of those racing games where if you get the best lap, then other players play against, ironically, weirdly, your ghost.
Yeah.
Your ghost car. And it was something that he played with his dad. His dad had got the best lap, and now, after his dad passed away, he's still able effectively to play with his dad.
Chase his dad
through gaming. And I thought there was something to that you don't really get anywhere else. I'm not sure there's any other medium that would allow you to have that level of almost of interaction with a loved one. And I kind of wonder, maybe in my retirement, if I'm getting a bit morose perhaps, but possibly playing games in that way, that should I pass on, there's something there for my kids to play with.
Record your best times and things like that.
Exactly, so I can still kind of go, ha-ha.
From the grave.
From the grave. Losers. From the grave. So I do wonder a bit about that, because I thought that was an amazing story. As I go into my golden years, I think about my health a little bit. And in a similar vein, I play around with something called kettlebells, which are kind of these big round objects with a handle, and you do sort of like weights with them, but they're a bit more convenient than kind of like barbells. And I kind of thought maybe something similar to that would be useful, because I've often found you look on YouTube at people doing this sort of stuff and you immediately feel completely inadequate.
Yes.
Yeah, because, I'm a biggish guy and I use kettlebell, and I'll look online and I'll see some 18-year-old lady who's probably half or a quarter my size, lifting 3 times as much. You think, I shouldn't bother doing this anymore.
60 kilos per arm.
Exactly, precisely right. While on one leg. And you think, well, if I had a kind of a ghost image of myself that I could train against, and I'm always beating myself with kettlebells, that would be more of an impetus than watching somebody on YouTube who's very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Me feeling very bad. So I do wonder about that, and also wonder about VR as well. I think I've mentioned it before. There's a great game called Thrill of the Fight, where you effectively box from beginner all the way to a stadium. And it's pretty good, apart from not getting hit, which of course is great. But I've seen professional boxers use it for fitness and for shadowboxing. Yeah. So I think that's a good, fun way of maintaining health and fitness. So I see that as being important. And I kind of see the legacy bit being important. I remember listening to a podcast by Gimlet, and there was a chap who was being interviewed. I think he had an accent from Southern California, like very surfer dude type guy.
Yeah.
And he was talking about his interest in art. And he was talking about how he wanted to create kinetic art. And then he was kind of investigating this, and one of his friends said, well, don't you mean pinball, effectively? And he went, yes, I do mean pinball. And so what he did is he bought this kind of, I don't know what his financial status was, but he bought the kind of large kind of ranch type thing, and he rented most of it out, apart from a place where he could live, and this room where he effectively then took old pinball machines and he restored them, and he let people come in and play them, and they'd pay for coffee, that kind of stuff, and he kind of kept that dream alive through the younger generation by saying, you come in here and play it for free. And I kind of wonder if I'm being altruistic, maybe I could do something like that where I could kind of take Defender and Galaxians, build some cabinets, coffee, get people round. Yeah. Go, oh, in my day, this was a good game.
Yeah.
I might do that, Kieron.
Nostalgia sells.
Might do, yeah, well, I hope so.
Right now, our parents probably wouldn't take up gaming as the generation that our grandparents at the moment, if they haven't already. So in the same way that we might be reluctant to pick up, say, the second generation social media apps. We're used to social media, but we haven't leapt onto TikTok and Snapchat.
No.
Are there any advancements in tech or gaming that you imagine that you wouldn't take on in 20 years, that you'd be a bit fearful of and go, oh no, that's these young people, I wouldn't do that?
So there's one... I've already come across this, weirdly, in the 80s.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. But do you remember a game called Theatre Europe?
No.
All right. Not many people have, I'd imagine. It's probably a bad reference, but there you go. It was a game where you played NATO against the Warsaw Pact.
Yeah.
And it was on the eve of... it's basically a strategy game on the eve of kind of Third World War. And you were faced with these decisions, which were, if you played NATO, basically you had to win within a certain number of hours, otherwise you were kind of done.
Yeah.
And there were certain things you could do to give yourself more time, which was like bomb Kiev with a nuclear missile, or bomb somewhere else. You think, ooh, and it was very good at saying, well done, you just killed 30 million people.
Not nice.
And you think, well, and I've been brought up a Christian, I was kind of thinking, I should be playing with this sort of thing, you know. I do kind of wonder, it made me feel uncomfortable even then. And then I forgot about it, because there weren't many games like that, until I started playing one of the Call of Duties. And when it started, the intro bit was you're part of this gang, a terrorist gang, and you had to walk through an airport and mow down just passerbys. And even though, of course, none of it was real, you were given this choice. If you didn't do it, then it made for a harder game for you.
Yeah.
And presumably many people like myself didn't, and then went back on and then probably did and said, what happened. But I remember thinking, I don't feel very comfortable doing this sort of thing. So I guess there's the ethical element of it as well. The only other aspect would be just how personal would it be? Because I know that there are certain instruments that will take your brainwave measurements you can control.
Yeah.
And I don't know about that and the implications for security, for example. So, but I guess at the moment it'd probably be ethical implications, what makes me feel comfortable or uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I suppose there's also the way that society changes. I think the generation after us, our kids, are far more open to sharing with TikTok and Snapchat, and we might feel that they're oversharing. So that kind of thing where maybe you'd be playing a game that did want to get to data or things that would identify you, we might be a little bit reluctant to share, where our kids or even our grandkids would be like, no, they can know that about me, I don't mind. So yeah, there might be things like that. So not necessarily the tech, but behaviour that's changed in society. Been fascinating learning more about you, Johnny. It's been like there's been two of you in this episode. But I enjoy sharing the microphone with you. I hope you've enjoyed this interview too, listeners. And we will be looking, searching, begging maybe, to find volunteers from all of you, your friends, family, colleagues, to share your ideas about gaming in later life, plus memories of gaming over the past decades. If you fancy being in the hot seat like Johnny, then get in touch with us on the socials. Next time, we will take stock on the poddy, as John calls it, so far. Until then, it's been a pleasure to bring this Horoscope Podcasting for Gamers with Pong Memories episode to you. Bye for now.
Bye.